really want to touch on this one because I know it's also a hot topic on the news, is what policies have been proposed or implemented to help livestock industries sustain the losses experienced or anticipated due to COVID? And do you feel that they fit the needs of the industry at this time? Anybody want to volunteer for that one?
I'll take that one right away.
Perfect. Thank you.
So there was $9.5 billion that was allocated by the USDA in the CARES Act that was passed for agriculture, and that was for all the ag commodities in there. The amount that was provided per commodity was a little bit different. Pork in particular had $1.6 billion allocated or sort of earmarked for the pork commodity. The issue really comes from the cap that's on it at $125,000 per commodity and per entity. Sadly, coming off the heels of very strong trade wars and 72% tariffs with China, the USDA also tried to provide some relief to pork producers through market facilitation program payments that tried to make up the difference between what they would have been paid if those tariffs had not been there. They had allocated $800 million to do that. The reality of what actually got to producers was right around 200 million and was only able to get to 27% of the pigs, because most farmers now are larger than the cap that's there. For my company, for instance, that $125,000 limit is 1/3 of one day in the losses that we have. And it's just not, it is not going to help the producers that are providing food, regardless of the size. I mean, in a commodity market, it impacts us all the same way. And so I'll be really candid and say that we were really disappointed in what was in that relief, and are really hoping to see that change. I agree with Natasha's comments that Secretary Perdue is just really been a tremendous advocate for agriculture, and I'm so excited to see that the money was there. I mean, $9.5 billion is a lot of money. $1.6 billion is a lot of money. It's just we have to have the pathways to get it to the producers so that they can get to the other side of this emergency.
Natasha, do you have anything to add?
That was really well said. And I agree. I think that people hear a very large amount of money, and it is. I mean, it's a large amount of money. However, that does go to a lot of places, and it isn't going to make up for really a very large percent of the producers out there producing food for what they're really going to lose. I mean, it's kind of, it's a gift for sure. It is something. So for dairy, for example, it might mean 1 milk check or maybe 2 milk checks, depending on your size and all those things, of course, right? So it's great, but it also does throw up a little bit of a concern just because we don't know how long anything's going to last, right? And I think all of us sitting here, no one knows. So we just got to go day by day and keep watching it. But yeah, I know it sounds like a lot of money, and it always does. And there's been programs to help farmers before this. Like JoDee said, milk too. I mean, there's programs that have existed to help farmers, but again, they help a little, which is great. But as far as, I don't want people there thinking like this is going to be a replacement for all losses, because it certainly will not be.
Awesome. How about you, John? Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd maybe shift away a little bit from funding. I think all of that is really well said, but the main thing that comes to mind for me for the government's role is testing. I mean, we at a processor level, that remains our biggest concern. How do we know who's healthy and who should be staying home from work each day? And I think when we try to find a path for processing plants to remain open, we need testing. And so it seems to me like priority 1, 2, and 3 are to find a solution to rapid tests in large enough numbers that we can be testing employees frequently. to know what we might have going on, and that's not only for our own livelihoods, but public health. I mean, we have no way of knowing what's going on if we don't have good testing. So that I just don't think that can be said enough. And then I also think that some of this is being done, but this paradox of long lines at food banks and farmers oftentimes faced with overproduction. I think the government has some role to play in bridging some of that, purchasing excess commodities that can go to those in need. That's a role that only the government can play, but I think it was said earlier, we're not really faced with a time of scarcity, although that is the perception. We just need to get the food into the hands of folks who need it. And so again, I think there's a role to play there.